This is a regular meeting of the Township of Washington in accordance with the requirements of the New Jersey statutes regarding open public meetings. Notice of this meeting was legally advertised in the Courier Post and the South Jersey Times and posted on a bulletin board in the municipal building. Fire exits are located through the double doors on your right and your left. Please silence all mobile devices. This meeting is being videotaped. Anyone who does not wish to be seen on television may be excused. This will be shown on Channel 9 and on Verizon Channel 36 every week, Sunday at 9, Wednesday at 7, Friday at 10, and Saturday at 10 p.m. And will continue until the next meeting. Flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Doherty.
She's on her way.
Ms. Pasqualone.
Here.
Mrs. Williams.
Here.
Mr. Longfellow.
Here.
Mr. Perry.
Here.
Mayor Gattinelli.
Here.
Mr. Platt.
Present.
Mr. Gonter.
Here.
Okay, we'll start off with proclamations and presentations. First, we have a snow removal presentation by Brian McCaffrey. Take it away, Brian.
Brian, I'm going to put you under oath, so raise your... I'm only kidding.
Mayor, members of council, administration, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to kind of go over, give a brief overview of some of our practices in regard to snow removal. I think it's good we have a couple new council members, and I always like to educate the public when we get the opportunity on how we go about things. So I appreciate you having me. Quickly about myself, I've been working for the Municipal Services Department since 1997 in varying roles. I've done everything with snow removal, from shoveling the walkways to driving the salt truck and the plow truck to now being part of the planning and implementation of everything that we do in regard to snow removal. So I can tell you that it's something that we take very seriously. I think it's probably, if not the most important thing we do in municipal services, it's certainly up there. So we put a lot of time and effort into preparation. I speak daily with our Director of Municipal Services, Ernie DeRazio, and all throughout the winter months, a big topic of those conversations is the weather. So we're constantly monitoring weather forecasts, and when we start to see a credible threat, things start to come into focus. We begin our first phase, which is preparation of our equipment, because obviously the equipment's used in our day-to-day business of taking care of the town. So when a snow event's coming, we have to bring all the equipment in, get the sanders on, get the plows on. So that's the first thing in the process. Then we get we attempt to get a handle on what the storm is going to bring. And there's a couple, different kinds of storms we can get. Obviously, big snowstorm, ice storm. Each storm is different, and we have to be dynamic in our approach with, how we go about preparing and carrying out our plan. So the way we handle snowstorms is the township is broken down into 4 separate districts. And in those districts, we've identified what we consider priority 1 roads. Those are the main thoroughfares and arteries throughout the developments that gain access to a county or a state road. So I always use Whitman Square as an example because that's where I live. So a main road through Whitman Square would be Whitman Drive, Johnson Road, Stagecoach Road. Those type of roads are what we consider our priority 1 roads because they will get people out of their development to a county or state road that has been treated. And I should also point out that there are several roads in the town that the township does not handle when it comes to snow removal. There's the county roads, and a quick list is Blackwood Barnesboro Road, Berlin Cross Keys Road, Chapel Heights Road, Egg Harbor Road, Fish Pond Road, Fries Mill Road, Gantown Road, Glassboro Cross Keys Road, Green Tree Road, Herfield Cross Keys Road, Herfield Grenlock Road, Pittman Downer Road, Tuckahoe Road, and Woodbury-Turnersville Road. And then the state has Delsey Drive, Route 42, and the little bit of Route 168 that is in Washington Township. So those roads, we often take complaints in the office about some of those roads, and we have no jurisdiction over those roads. So at the onset of every storm, we jump right on these priority one roads. And if it's a storm like we've been experiencing this year, we haven't had that major snowstorm. We've had more of like the nuisance storms where we know we're only getting a few inches. And what we do is we jump right out and we start getting salt on those roads to keep those main thoroughfares clear. So folks don't have to travel more than a mile to get to a road that has been treated. One of the frequently asked questions we get in the office is, why don't you salt my road? You know, I pay taxes just like everyone else. You don't salt my road. And the reason we do that is these side roads, like I'll take the road that I live on, for example, has about 20 homes. And for me to get to a treated road, it's at the end of my street, Whitman Drive. So our goal when we do snow removal is to make roads safe when they're traveled with caution. So we're not expecting someone to be doing 35 miles an hour on a street that has 20 homes on it. So if there's only an inch or two of snow, folks can navigate that road safely, and it doesn't need to be treated in a minor snowstorm. Now, if we get into what we consider a major snowstorm, where we're talking anything over 3 inches, then we go into an operation where we will clear every street in town, because at that point we don't feel like the roads are passable. You can't get out and get down to a main road with 6 inches of snow on the ground. So at that point we would bring in our contractors. We have 2 contractors we work with, same folks for half a dozen years now, so they know their sections of town. We always assign them to the same sections of town, and we work with them to do a full plowing operation. And we haven't had to do that yet this year. Let's keep our fingers crossed that we don't get any of these big snowstorms, and we'll just keep dealing with these little nuisance storms. But also, one of the reasons that we don't salt every street, in addition to the fact that, like I said, we don't want people flying down those roads, is salt is not very effective on roads that don't get a lot of travel. So, and temperatures really affect how salt works. So I brought a couple quick statistics with me. When the temperature is 30 degrees, 1 pound of salt will melt 46 pounds of ice. When you just drop the temperature by 5 degrees and you go to 25 degrees, that same pound of salt will only melt 14. You take it down to 20, 1 pound of salt will only melt 9 pounds of ice. So as the temperatures go down, salt becomes a lot less effective. And then if you don't have that traffic, we're just spreading salt on back roads for no reason, because it will not be effective. What you'll get is a little bit of melting, and then overnight it'll freeze, and it actually makes the condition of the road worse. So that's why we stick to the main roads where we know it'll be effective, because it's also very expensive. Salt is $56 a ton. So just for reference, one of the first storms we had this year, it was 18 degrees as a high. And on our 125 main roads, we spread 156 tons of salt to try to get it to, become passable. The storm we had on Monday, we had 30 degrees for a high. That same 125 roads, we only had to use 81 tons of salt. So there's a lot that goes into the decision of where to salt, how much to put down. It's just a very dynamic operation. So, but like I said, we take it very seriously. We try to make sure that every road is passable. And then lastly, there's a couple things that we ask of the residents. If you, at all cost, if you can keep your car off the road when you know there's going to be a snow event. We know that's not completely possible in every circumstance, but if you have a driveway, it's not filled with cars, we would suggest you pull the car in the driveway. It makes what we're trying to do a little easier, lessens the risk of accidents for us, and allows us to do a better job. And then we try to recommend waiting and this isn't always possible either, but waiting until we come by with the plow before you clear your driveway, because that's a complaint we often get that, oh, you know, I cleared my driveway and then you plowed me back in, and that's simply unavoidable because all the snow we plow rolls off the plow to the right-hand side of the road and it lands along the curb. So we're going to block driveways. It's an unfortunate part of doing business, but it's unavoidable. And then when you do clear them, your sidewalks and everything, if you're using a snow blower, blow it back towards the home instead of back into the street, because we get that a lot where we'll clear a road and, you know, 5 or 6 houses, the nice neighbor comes out with the snow blower and does his neighbors a favor, and then they blow all the snow into the street and it doesn't look like we were there. So we would ask that when you're using the snow blowers, blow them back onto the lawn. So that's pretty much it. You know, we have a good team in place. Our management team has over 100 years of experience. Our supervisors, you know, Adele Riff has been here for 40 years involved with snow removal. Frank Altamiro and Nick Fiorentino each have 25 years of experience in the field. Myself, over 20. And then our Director of Municipal Services, Ernie DeRazio, came from the state DOT. So he provided a new perspective and gave us a lot of their practices. So, you know, we have a lot of experience. We make a lot of decisions, but they're informed decisions. They're based on, you know, science with the melting of the snow. They're based on, you know, a lot of experience. And we go to an annual snow meeting and talk to our peers about this. So we're very prepared. You know, the resident and traveler safety is of the utmost importance to us. And you know, if you have any questions, if we're always there, we can be reached at 856-589-0523. If there's any problems, if we miss something, we know we're not perfect. We encourage the residents to call. And that's pretty much it. I mean, if there's anybody has any questions, you know, any clarification on anything, I'm here. So I'll stick around. If any residents have questions after the meeting, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you,
So,
Brian.
you got it.
Nice job.
Brian, while you're here, I want to congratulate your crew for the nice job they've done in the last few snowstorms.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Listen, these are more tricky, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. I was just saying to Ken that, you know, or the chief rather, I'd rather have a foot of snow because we just go hard at it. We don't really have to, you know, think too much about where should we do this. We just go at it. These, you got to kind of say, okay, you know, when's it going to melt? It's the temperature's going up, and they're more of a nuisance, and they're a little bit harder to manage than the big ones, honestly.
Well, just keep up the good work.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank
All right, we
you.
got a hard-working crew. Thanks.
Next, we have Jeff Warrington from Gold Medal Environmental.
No.
No? Well, okay, that's what's on my agenda.
Employee of the month, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, now we have the mayoral presentations.
This is for an employee of the month. I'm going to ask James Pizzuto to come up. James has been with us for a little bit of time. He works in our building and grounds department. James is a very valuable employee. He's multi-skilled, and he always comes to work with a smile on his face, from what I understand. He's there to help anyone and everyone that needs something during the course of the day. He's willing to help. He's right there with them, stands beside them, and shows them the way. So I want to show you our appreciation and honor you with the Employee of the Month for this month for February. Thank you. Thank you.
Now.
Okay, now we have certificate appreciation. Now it's time for George and Jeff Warrington to come up from Gold Medal Environmental.
How are you? And you? Jeff? George? Nice to see you. I know you did. I remember the name. Here we have Jeff and George Warrington. No relation, right? No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing you. These gentlemen work with Gold Medal Environmental. They are part of the crew that works hard every single day. And I know we had, in the beginning, we had a little bit of trial and tribulation, but we were able to work it out. And these two gentlemen really stood up, worked with one of our residents, showed them that they're here to help. And we appreciate that greatly. We had gotten an email from one of our residents who needed a little bit of help with their trash being brought out and brought back up to the house again. They thought upon themselves and came out and helped this woman bring the trash back up to the house, and we wanted to appreciate them and let them know that no good deed goes undone, and we wanted you to know that we really appreciate everything that you do, and you're out there and you see the things, and we appreciate the work that you do. So from us to you, we want to give you a certificate of appreciation, and thank you for what you've done. Thank you.
You want to take the picture, Rob? Rob?
You try two, I caught one. You're the man. You're the best.
Pressure one come up. Pressure one come up. Rob, you want to stay over? You want to take one more? These are acting supervisor with Rob.
Okay, moving right along, we have a budget update from Colette Backish, our CFO. Take it away, Colette.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Colette Backish, and I'm the Certified Municipal Financial Officer for Washington Township. I would like to give an update for the Finance Department and upcoming financial events for Washington Township. The Finance Department has been diligently working on many tasks to meet all state and municipal deadlines due for the first quarter of 2019. At the beginning of the calendar year, we completed the temporary budget, which is the first part of ensuring that the township and its departments run efficiently without interruption from a financial perspective. The following financial reports that are required to be filed with the state for 2019 have been completed. The annual debt statement, which was due January 31st, was completed and filed with the state. The Uniform Construction Code annual report has been completed and sent to the state as well. Currently, the annual financial statement is near completion, and we just received an update from the state that the due date has been extended to March 11th, 2019. We are confident the report will be filed prior to March 11, 2019. A copy will also be available on our website under the Government, Budget, and Audit Information tabs. Along with the financial reporting, the Finance Department has worked with our Police Department to complete and file all appropriate reports in order to receive outstanding grant funds due to Washington Township. Washington Township received $120,000 in 2018 of outstanding grant funds that have been incorporated into our fund balance. We are projected to receive another $180,000 this year. Regarding the budget, I would like to take a moment to thank Mayor Gattinelli for her proactive initiative and directive to begin the budget process in November of 2018. While some municipalities do not begin planning until January or February, Mayor Gattinelli's forethought and early preparation have allowed us to take a comprehensive approach with each department head. We have found that allowing sufficient time to meet with each department to prioritize their financial needs results in solutions that allow us to deliver the resources residents expect, but also manage the cost of these services. We continue this process as we approach the budget target completion dates. As per Mayor Gattinelli's directive to begin in November, we also conducted meetings with the business administrator, Jason Gonter, and myself to review and discuss expenditures from previous years to evaluate the operational needs for each department for the 2019 budget year. During these meetings, we had extensive dialogue to identify the necessities in each department. Our goal is to minimize expenditures while continuing to deliver all the services the residents of the town have come to expect and deserve. Recently, we started our second round of meetings to review and eliminate or trim any expenditures that are inessential to providing services. The budget appropriations portion of the budget shall be completed shortly, which will then be reviewed again by Business Administrator Jason Gonter and Mayor Gattinelli. Expenditures will be finalized, and we will verify that the budget is streamlined and suitable for 2019. Although the budget will be prepared, a new countywide initiative has been implemented for 2019. Gloucester County has changed the county tax assessor's calendar for tax appeals. The county has changed the dates for when the final tax assessments for all properties for municipalities within Gloucester County can be filed. All appeals will be reviewed and processed by April 30th, and a final tax list will be provided to Washington Township on May 5th. We can only then receive our final net assessed value for 2019. The tax assessed value is information necessary to complete the 2019 budget document. With this countywide tax assessor date adjustment, Washington Township cannot begin the budget adoption process until May. Alongside Mayor Gattinelli, Business Administrator Jason Gonter, and myself, we are preparing all other information for the 2019 budget, and once Washington Township is provided with the net assessed value calculation, we can then move forward quickly to have the budget introduced and reviewed, then adopted. So to conclude and recap the first quarter events from the Finance Department, the 2019 budget preparation is well underway. Budget meetings with departments have been completed and the expenditures have been evaluated. As in previous years, this administration is offering small group budget meetings, dates posted, and the dates are posted on our website. These meetings are an opportunity for residents to ask questions and or discuss ideas that can be beneficial for Washington Township and its residents. In addition to the small budget meetings, there will be 2 open budget meetings with council members and residents to review and discuss budget line items. Thank you.
Thank you, Colette.
I'd just like to take a moment to thank you, Joe. You joined us on all the department head second round review meetings that we had. I know it was a lot of your own personal time, so thank you. Hopefully you gained more in-depth perspective on the process.
Okay, moving on to the bill list. I get approval of the bill list for February 13th, 2019.
Make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Pasqualone?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Minutes, approval of the regular minutes for January 23rd, 2019. I get a motion.
Make a motion to approve minutes.
I'll second. Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Pasqualone?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Approval of the executive minutes for January 23rd, 2019. I get a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Pasqualone?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Okay, moving on to ordinances. Ordinance 1, 2019 salary ordinance for the Township of Washington. This ordinance is up for adoption. I get a motion to open to the public.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are now open to the public for anyone that wishes to speak on this ordinance. Seeing no one, make a motion to close to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I get a motion to adopt?
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 1.
A second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Pasqualone?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ordinance 2, ordinance authorizing an agreement for tax abatement with Albert DeChico Revelations Salon for the property known as Block 195, Lot 14.02. This ordinance is up for adoption. Motion to open to the public.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are now open to the public for anyone wishing to speak on this ordinance. Seeing no one, make a motion to close to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion to adopt.
Make the motion to adopt
I'll
ordinance 2.
second. Any discussion?
I just want to say, just to clarify, this is just on the portion that's being renovated, correct?
Correct.
Just on the improvement, correct?
Yes, okay. No further comment.
Okay. Roll call?
Mrs. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Pasqualone.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ordinance 3, ordinance amending Chapter 179-8 of the Code of Township of Washington entitled Minimum Housing and Property Standards. This ordinance is up for introduction only. Get a motion to introduce?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Pasqualone.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Ordinance 4, ordinance amending Chapter 179 of the Code of the Township of Washington entitled Property Maintenance and Housing Standards. This ordinance is up for introduction only.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Pasqualone.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ordinance 5, ordinance amending Chapter 80 of the Code of the Township of Washington entitled Fees. This ordinance is up for introduction only. Motion to introduce?
Make that motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Pasqualone.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Tell you what, Joe's been busy. Ordinance 6, ordinance amending Chapter 285 of the Code of the Township of Washington entitled Zoning. This ordinance is up for introduction only. In a motion to introduce?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Pasqualone.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ordinance 7, ordinance amending Chapter 19 of the Code of the Township of Washington entitled Animals. This is amending to comply with new state legislation. This ordinance is up for introduction only. Motion to introduce?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Pasqualone.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ordinance 8, ordinance amending the Delsey Drive redevelopment plan to readjust the graphic boundaries of Node 4 to include an additional portion of Block 7, Lot 6.02, in accordance with the requirements of the local redevelopment and housing law, NJSA 40A 12A.-1. This ordinance is up for introduction only, not adoption. Get a motion to introduce?
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Pasqualone.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Selb, could you please make sure that ordinance 6 and 8 get referred to the planning board under the MLUL?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to resolutions. I need a motion to amend agenda to add Resolution 55, approving release of solicitor's bond for Ellen Williams Lindsay.
Make a motion to amend.
I'll second. Roll call?
Mrs. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Pasqualone.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Okay, the following resolutions are by consent agenda and only require a vote for all listed. Each one must be read by title. If any member of the council wishes to have one removed and heard separately, they need to indicate it prior to the reading of the titles. Anyone have any? No? Okay. Well, here goes.
Take a breath. They have 30 seconds, Joe.
Okay. Resolution 37, appointing a conditional redeveloper for a portion of the Delsey Drive redevelopment area as Block 7.04, Lot 6, Block 7, Lot 6.02. Resolution 41, resolution releasing a performance guarantee and escrow and waiving a maintenance bond for PAG Aldi Turnersville. Resolution 42, accepting a performance guarantee, safety, and stabilization bond and escrow for J Trail Holding Company, LLC. Resolution 43, authorizing a contract change, maintenance bond, and final payment, number 6, for Washington Township Police Department restroom improvements, project number 08-18-T-357. Resolution 44, resolution canceling taxes for a totally disabled veteran, Block 236, Lot 6, 413 Whitman Drive. Resolution 45, resolution authorizing and approving an assignment of a tax abatement for self-storage, 229 Delsey Drive, Block 16, Lot 4-09.09. Resolution 46, resolution appointing Officer Jason Sims and Officer Fred Volpe as a municipal humane law enforcement officer. And their new title is MHLEO. Got it. Resolution 47, resolution authorizing accepting emergency management performance grant for year 18 EMPG program, subaward grant FY 18 EMPG EMAA 0818 CFDA number 97.042. Resolution 48, authorizing a grant award from the Preserve New Jersey Historic Preservation Fund administered by the New Jersey Historic Trust. Resolution 49, resolution awarding the planetary retail distribution license to Supa and Etta Modi. Resolution 50, resolution to support from Township Council authorizing sustainable Jersey grant applications. Resolution 51, resolution establishing a creative team as a subcommittee of the Sustainable Washington Township Green Team Advisory Committee. Resolution 52, resolution authorizing a public auction for the sale of municipal property which is no longer needed for public use. Resolution 53, resolution for amended safe and secure 2016 and 2017. Resolution 54, resolution for safe and secure grant for 2018.
You have 55 also.
Yeah, you have to read it right there.
I got it. Resolution 55, resolution approving release of solicitor's bond for Ellen Williams Lindsay. Motion to approve resolutions 37 and resolution 41 to resolution 55. We get a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Pasqualone?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Resolutions and a motion passes.
All right, moving on to old business. Nate, you have anything?
Nope.
Anything?
No.
No, sir.
Mayor, do you have anything? I don't want to forget you. Thank you. Moving on to new business.
No new business.
No new business.
None at this time.
No.
I can't say.
Okay. Yes, sir. All right. Moving on to reports.
None at this time.
Okay.
None at this time.
Environmental Commission is currently working on a variety of programs for April for Earth Day. Throughout the month, they'll be running things at the library and the park and doing projects around Washington Township. So just keep a lookout for that, and we'll be posting that shortly on the website. If you're looking to get a plot in the community garden, they are opening up now. That information is also on the website. Looking at some open space projects in the near future, and hope to have some information for council maybe at the next meeting.
I do. I would like to report that today is Dre's birthday.
Well, happy
birthday.
Happy birthday.
And she's still under 40.
I am, barely. But I am, thank you.
No report.
I was going to say we should sing, but I thought
No,
that she would get
we
me
were
back
very
on
good.
that one. So
Not
I
when we're on
do.
the mic.
Yes. I just wanted to make everybody aware, Super Saturday this year for 2019 is going to be May 11th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Washington Lake Park. Any interested vendors should fill out applications or registration forms and send to Lisa Collins at our park. 2019 budget meeting schedule, I have laid them out on the table there, but I'll go through some of the dates and times. So if you're available, we'd appreciate you coming out. March 5th, 2019 at 7:30 a.m. March 8th, 12 p.m. March 11th, 5 p.m. March 14th, 10 a.m. March 19th, 6 p.m. March 22nd, 12 p.m. March 28th, 3 p.m. April 8th, 12 p.m. April 16th, 10 a.m. April 18th, 6 p.m. April 23rd, 5 p.m. Please contact Lori Morello in our office to set up an appointment to RSVP for that. We have the open public budget meeting schedule as well, which would be held in our council room. That'll be April 1st from 4 to 6:50 p.m. and then April 4th, 4 to 7:10 p.m. We did amend our social media policy, so please review that through the Washington Township social media policy, which was amended by our Township Council on 1/23 of 19. The document can be found on our Township website. We've had some best practices and sexual harassment training within our administration. This has been handled through our HR department. It is a very important issue, so we feel that we need to acknowledge that and have these training sessions throughout the administration. Within the next couple of weeks, we'll be introducing and conducting the training for the customer service best practices. And then we now have a new web provider. We had transitioned from Civic Plus, and now we are using Revise. This is up and running at this time. The new website can be viewed at www.twp.washington.nj.us. We've researched several different websites. We think that we found the right fit for us. It's got a new modern look. There's a ton of information in there. It's a little more user-friendly than it was before, so we're pretty proud of that. So keep an eye out for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have one. On Saturday, February 16th, the fire election will be held at the East Holly Firehouse from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. And if anyone was here before, the chief was here in December and mentioned about the need for the new firehouse. There's a question on there approving a $10 million bond to build a new firehouse at Whitman and to improve and work on the other buildings. So if you haven't gotten your mail-in ballot, make sure you go out and vote for this one. That's all I have. Okay, moving on. Public participation. Please follow the public decorum posted, which has been attached to the public agenda, and limit your comments to 5 minutes. Once you have completed your comments or questions, please take a seat. I will then ask if any member of the governing body or their designee wishes to address your comments or questions. So, do I get a motion to open up to the public?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are now open to the public if anyone wishes to make comments. Seeing no one, oh, there we go. Got to get quicker there, Bob.
Okay, good evening, Council, Mayor Gattinelli, Mr. Platt, Mr. Gunter, and Mr. Selb. I'm up here this evening.
Can I have your name, sir? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do that all the time. Robert Davis, Saddlebrook Drive in Sewell. Sean, you mentioned community arts, I think it was, and looking at the ways to improve some things in Township. I looked at something called a Art in Public Places program. This is in place in dozens, if not hundreds, of communities throughout the country, and it's something I think that we would be able to do like that too. These other places, from large cities all the way down to communities like we have here. It would form like a committee, and this committee would either develop their own ideas, get ideas from residents in the community, and there would be things like any kind of sculptures for, like when you come into the neighborhood, into into Washington Township, like right off of Egg Harbor Road. I know there's a sign there, and the sign's a nice little sign about 4 feet high, but it doesn't really do anything. And if there could be some kind of sculpture, whatever it may be, a little colorful, maybe, we could put murals on some of the buildings. You could get art projects that could be changed every season, or some that could be permanent in the municipal building here, some of the public buildings, and it would just look attractive. Here in Township, we are rich in creative arts. We have a nice arts program in the high schools. We have Rowan University right down the road. I think they have something like 35 faculty and staff in their arts department that could help develop something that we may need. Also, you have, I'm sure, many independent artists here in Township that could be helpful in something like that. Funding, it could be obtained from both public and private entities, and partnerships could be pursued with citizens, civic groups, clubs, churches, and things of that nature. In Hot Springs, Arkansas, they have a AIPP sculpture garden along a trail near their farmers market. Some of the sculptures were provided permanently by people who just gave it to them. Others were on loan, and then ones on loan allowed changes whenever they could replace them once in a while and just add to a difference. They're not going to have the same sculptures the whole time. We could have something like that in Washington Lake Park, a nice garden along the trail. And I feel like this would make Washington Township a destination for people from the other towns that are close by, and could ultimately create some economic benefits as well as improve the aesthetics of Washington Township. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, so on that, you actually threw us kind of a softball tonight, because tonight, as a part of the Green Team, we've sought over the last 2 years to establish a creative team, a creative arts team. So it's going to be a group of about 6 people at minimum, per the way the program's run, and we're going to be looking into all the things that you basically just said. We've already started to reach out to independent artists in town, and we've pulled in a variety of people who are very interested in doing a number of the various things that you said. So if it's something that you want to get involved in, by all means, let us know. We're always looking for an extra hand with some ideas. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Bob. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak? I'm going to say it slowly this way. So,
Make a motion to close to the public.
yeah, well, give me a chance. I'm making sure I'm not rushing somebody. Can I get a motion to close to the public?
Make that motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I get a motion to adjourn?
Make that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Our next council meeting is scheduled for February 27th. Thank you all for attending, and have a happy St. Valentine's Day.